Today we are taking a look at Hatsune Miku from Vocaloid. This is the Canary version in the Noodle Stopper Figure line by FuRyu. Vocaloid is a music and virtual singer franchise built around voice synthesis software and the characters connected to it. Within that lineup, Hatsune Miku is the character most strongly associated with the franchise. She remains the visual center of the series and the figure most people think of first when Vocaloid is mentioned. Today's highlights for this figure are the lovely singing expression and seated pose, the white and yellow outfit, and the canary sitting on the shoulder. The first highlight is the expression and pose. The slightly open mouth makes the face feel as if she is in the middle of singing, while the large eyes keep the expression soft and charming. That impression is reinforced by the pose, with one hand placed near the chest as if supporting the song-like presentation, while the other hand rests behind the body and the legs fall downward in a gentle line. The second highlight is the outfit. The combination of the large white ruffled collar, the white upper bodice, the yellow waist section, and the pleated yellow skirt gives the figure a very clear and memorable color balance. That white and yellow contrast is also supported by smaller accents like the bronze chest ornament, the hanging yellow ribbons, and the darker gloves and sandals. The third highlight is the canary on the shoulder. Because it sits so close to the face, it immediately becomes one of the most noticeable extra details on the figure. Its bright yellow color also connects naturally with the skirt and ribbon details, so it feels integrated into the full design instead of looking separate. This channel brings you figure reviews and anime merchandise updates straight from Japan. If you enjoyed this kind of content, don't forget to subscribe. The face is built around a very gentle singing expression. The eyes are large and open, with a blue-green color that stands out clearly from the pale skin tone and the lighter surrounding colors. That color contrast helps the eyes become the first focal point when viewed from the front. The small open mouth gives the impression that she is in the middle of a song rather than simply smiling, which gives the face a soft but slightly more active feeling. Instead of looking dramatic, the expression stays light and delicate, which suits the overall pose very well. That expression is framed very effectively by the hair. The bangs drop low across the forehead in several separated sections, with the center strands hanging lower and the outer strands breaking away toward the cheeks. Because of that layered spacing, the front view does not feel flat, and the eyes stay clearly visible inside the frame created by the hair. The shorter side sections also help guide attention inward toward the face, rather than letting the hairstyle overwhelm it. Around the sides of the head, the hair breaks into smaller layered pieces before connecting to the longer sections, which adds a little more texture around the cheeks and ears. The hairstyle then opens out into twin tails. A white headband runs over the top of the head, and dark ribbon details hang down near the tied sections, making the transition from headband to hair very easy to read. Those darker ribbon accents are also important because they add contrast to the otherwise light color palette around the head. From there, the twin tails fall long behind the body and gradually shift to a lighter, more translucent look near the ends. That change in transparency helps the hair feel softer toward the tips and keeps the long shape from looking too heavy. The ends curve outward and then back inward, which gives the figure a wider and more elegant silhouette from both the front and rear angles. Those long trailing sections are especially important because they add width and flow to the figure, balancing the compact seated pose with a much larger silhouette around it. The upper body stands out because of how clearly the costume is layered. At the neck, a narrow ruffled collar rises upward, and beneath it, a much larger white collar spreads outward across the shoulders and upper chest. Because this white area is so wide, it immediately defines the upper half of the figure and gives the chest and shoulder area a very recognizable shape. The chest area is organized very cleanly. A bronze ornament sits at the center of the collar opening, and two thin yellow ribbons fall from that point down toward the bodice. Below that, the white upper bodice uses vertical lines and a double row of buttons to keep the front from feeling too plain. These details break up the white surface without making it look crowded. The body line then narrows into the waist, where the color changes from white to yellow and gives the torso a more defined shape. That shift in color also helps separate the upper bodice from the skirt area in a very readable way. The arm placement also helps the upper half feel more expressive. One gloved hand is placed lightly against the chest, which works naturally with the open mouth and strengthens the impression that she is singing. Because the hand is positioned close to the collar and ornament, it also keeps attention centered on the face and chest area. The other arm moves behind the body, with the hand resting on the trailing yellow fabric, so the pose feels supported and connected instead of simply decorative. That front and back arm placement gives the upper body a nice sense of direction, with one side drawing attention inward and the other extending the pose outward. The white frill around the upper arm and the 01 marking add a few more clear details without overcrowding the area. Together, the collar, ornament, ribbons, bodice lines, gloves, and arm placement make the upper body feel carefully arranged and visually complete. The lower body is where the seated pose becomes especially appealing. The yellow skirt spreads outward from the waist in narrow pleats, and the short hem gives the front a light, airy shape that suits the figure very well. Because the skirt opens gently over the thighs, it keeps the lower half looking compact, while still giving the pose a soft sense of movement. Around the side, a brown lattice-like section sits over a white base area, with a yellow tied detail hanging downward. This part is especially interesting because it creates a birdcage-like impression, which connects very naturally to the canary theme of the figure. Instead of feeling like a small extra decoration, it gives the costume a clearer identity and helps tie the lower half back to the shoulder detail. That makes this section feel more intentional and memorable within the overall design. The back of the outfit also helps the pose feel more complete. A longer yellow section extends behind the body and rests beneath the supporting hand, so the costume continues outward instead of ending abruptly at the seated point. That extended fabric works well with the long twin tails because both elements spread away from the body and help widen the silhouette. The legs are bent in a relaxed seated arrangement, which matches the gentle mood of the figure. A white wrap detail on the upper leg adds one more visual break near the hem of the skirt. Together, the skirt, the birdcage-like side section, and the soft leg line give the lower half a decorative but very cohesive look. This figure is approximately 14 centimeters tall. That's about 5.5 inches. For size comparison, here's a 350 milliliter can. That's about 12 ounces in the US. Overall, Hatsune Miku by FuRyu stands out for the way this figure combines a gentle singing expression, a very readable white and yellow costume, and a seated pose with a soft flowing silhouette. The face is one of the strongest elements here. The large eyes and the small open mouth create an expression that feels as if she is in the middle of singing while still keeping the overall mood soft and delicate. The hair adds a lot to that appeal. The layered bangs frame the face well, and the twin tails give the figure much more reach and movement than the seated pose alone would provide. The lighter, translucent ends are especially effective because they give the long hair a softer finish near the tips. The upper body is very appealing because the costume layout is so easy to follow. The narrow neck frill, the broad white collar, the bronze ornament at the center, and the hanging yellow ribbons all create a clear focal area around the chest and face. The hand placed near the chest works especially well here, since it supports the singing-like expression and makes the pose feel more intentional. The lower half gives the figure a very distinctive identity. The pleated yellow skirt keeps the seated pose light and compact, while the side lattice-like section adds a birdcage-like impression that connects naturally to the Canary theme. That detail helps the costume feel more unified, since the bird motif is not limited to the shoulder and also appears in the lower half of the design. The longer yellow section extending behind the body also works well with the twin tails, helping the silhouette spread outward instead of closing in too tightly. What makes the full figure work so well is how the major elements support one another. The face draws attention first, the hand near the chest strengthens the singing impression, and then the skirt, the birdcage-like side detail, and the long twin tails guide the eye outward through the rest of the silhouette. Because of that, fans of Hatsune Miku or Vocaloid will definitely enjoy this piece. With that focus on expression, color balance, and the Canary-inspired costume details, collectors who appreciate softer character poses and distinctive themed outfits should find it a satisfying addition. That's it for this video. If there's any part of the figure you liked, feel free to leave a comment and share your thoughts. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.